The first question is from Ben Steg. Question for Q&A. You mentioned the chameleon having different issues like OCD, allergies, asthma, low immunity. Would that mean if we deal with these underlying beliefs about the toxic starting point, that we could potentially help resolve these issues around allergies? I know you're not a doctor, just want your opinion on that matter. The mind-body connection is real, so this wouldn't surprise me at all. Priscilla.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dr. Demore.
Yeah. Yeah, I am a doctor. but it doesn't really count. Well, it does count, but for the question, it doesn't really count. Yes, the thing with how I don't really know where to start that, because when you have a starting point like chameleon or aggressive bully or passive aggressive bully, that starting point is not only in your mind. It's not only the way that you perceive the world with either fear, anger, or guilt or shame. It's not the starting point in how you think other people are towards you. It's also the thoughts you have, because it's part of our survival mechanism. So if you have from a very, very early age, pre-verbal, been taught that the world is a dangerous place, then you have fear as a starting point. And that is your entire nervous system, your entire endocrine system. Everything is geared towards being careful because the world is a dangerous place. And that gives signals to your organs. It gives signals to your thoughts, so your psychology. It gives signals to your emotions. It gives signals to everything. So the starting point is literally the entrance point we have into the forest. If you go in from the north, east, west, or south side of the forest, you will have a different experience when you enter the forest on that side. And it's the same with the starting point. It does shape absolutely, utterly everything. And if you have a biochemistry and endocrinology and nervous system and everything that is geared towards be careful, then you are alert in a way that is excreting specific hormones, that is putting you in a mindset that has a certain shape, if you can say it like that. But it's also the way that your entire organ system is working, your cardiovascular system, how much nourishment is given to the organs. For example, if you are the aggressive bully, then everything is on fight, which means that the entire sympathetic nervous system that is fighting, that is ready to fight, it has a lot of blood flow to the muscles. So you have a lot of tension in your body, a lot of muscular tension in your body, but you don't have that much blood flow to your digestive system, which means that all the blood is in the muscles, not in the digestive system, which means you do have issues with your digestive system. You are constipated. There are lots of different foods that you can't eat because you simply do not have the enzymatic processes to digest and to break down the food that you eat. So it shapes everything, absolutely everything. And it's also why it's so profound when you start to work with the awakening curriculum, because you really, really see things from a different angle. You find out that you have always entered the forest from the north side. First of all, you find out, I can enter it from the south, east, and west side, and that creates a completely different way of viewing everything. That is in the lower fives. In the higher fives, you find out there isn't any forest. There's not even a forest, And obviously, that relaxes the entire system. If you had a starting point of fear where you need to be careful, you need to be alert, you have like the flinching muscles off, you have like that entire, turtle shell protecting, and it's a matter of time until you develop anxiety and depression. It's right in the wake of that starting point. And really becoming aware and looking into that is just a starting point. It's not truth. Whatever you were told and whatever you were led to believe, whatever you reason you had to live your life and perceive the world as you did, it was just a survival mechanism. It was just for you to survive those crucial years in your childhood. It's not the truth. It's not reality. It was just reality in your family, and in that setting it was a reality. It's not reality in general. um, and then your nervous system will react, your endocrine system will relax, everything will be different. You will view yourself and other people differently, or like you did with anxiety. Would you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, but it does change everything.
Yeah.
You don't, because all the symptoms you have are not, understand me right when I say this, all the symptoms you have are not real. They are an indication of something that is not right. So it's a healthy reaction to an unhealthy situation. And when that unhealthy situation is sorted out, the healthy reaction doesn't need to be there anymore. A symptom is not a problem. A symptom is a solution to an unhealthy situation. It's a metaphor for you to look into it. For example, allergies, being allergic to the world. It's a very chameleon thing, you know? You can't even go outside because there's pollen attacking you. So when you're not when that is not your starting point anymore, your immunity will be different because you have a different standpoint in life. You start to literally excrete different enzymes and your immunity will be better. There's lots of things that will relax when you can relax, and be alert when you need to be alert. When we are in that fear mode, we're always alert, which means that things start to break down because it's too much on all the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about anxiety?
I mean, that was so well.
We can move on to the next one.
I mean, that was such an incredible answer. I'm
Thank
not sure
you.
what I have to add to that in terms of, I think my personal experience is probably similar to what
Ben has.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of allergies and lots of
Yeah, and it's part of this is I think coming from both angles, where you have the recognition that there is no self, that there is no, as you said, there's no forest there afterwards. That helps to also make it easier to, because the body is still conditioned to be this way. The muscles are still in a certain posture, and you still have these kind of habitual things come up. It's relevant to be able to recognize immediately that these are just physical symptoms of a condition being a certain way, and that they're no longer taken to be truth, that oh, I really need to be aware of something in my environment right now, because we often take it as being when we get those anxious feelings, it's not, even when we know that we have an anxiety disorder, a lot of times it's still not taken that this is just a disorder, or this is just a way of thinking, or this is just, it's like, it's real. It's like, it's telling me something that I need to know, because something in my environment absolutely is dangerous. And this is like my faultless alert system going off that is warning me. I can't see the danger, but it's going off. So it means it must be here.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just want to emphasize, Ben, that I'm not saying that if you have allergies, that you should go outside and go like, I do not have allergies. Pernille says I do not have allergies. It's just in my mind. It is not what I'm saying. It is not what I'm saying. I mean,
peanuts will still kill you if you.
Absolutely. If you have allergies, it is part of a bigger transformation. And it is something that if you work with this, and if you are, if you start to unhook all the hooks that you have into it, and you start to calm down your nervous system, and you start to regulate your endocrine system, which is what you're doing with the awakening curriculum, then probably in 20-30 years time you won't have allergies anymore. But you have to remember that since the pre-verbal, since you were in your grandmother, right? You started to have a certain way of functioning, of working, that is part of the of the genetic material, um, and that is what you are dealing with now at the age of 40. So thinking that I can just go outside and inhale pollen and eat pine notes and pine
cones.
notes, nuts, and everything's fine. It's just in my mind. It's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah. So two notes there. One is, like I was saying, it's just without the identification, it's easier and easier to start seeing that these things are just temporary physical manifestations and not an indication of something that really needs your attention externally necessarily, that is really like, I used to have a thing where I felt like I was going to have, ironically, either like an anaphylactic reaction to something, like I would try a new food or I would take a medication or something, and immediately I would start being concerned that I was going to be allergic to it and have this anaphylactic reaction. And of course, I would start to feel certain aspects of, I don't know, I don't think I can breathe as deeply as I can. I think my throat might be closed. I feel itchy. And those things would start to come up, but it wasn't because I was actually having any sort of reaction to those things. It was completely psychosomatic, but also it's being able to really recognize that just because you feel it doesn't mean that it's true. That this is not something that is an indicative of a real emergency, unless you actually are having an allergic reaction to something. And by all means, please go get medical help. But it's also interesting because, even just speaking of allergies, like when I was a kid, I was really, really allergic to milk. So I would just throw up every day because they didn't know that I was allergic to milk for a while. And then by the time I was like 13, I had outgrown it. And then briefly I was allergic to peanuts, and then that went away. And so I've had these kind of fleeting things, but even my like environmental allergies used to be so bad that I would have to take all these medicines and like really awful stuff because I was like super, super sick from it. And I don't know whether it was a combination of lifestyle changes, being vegan, the, sort of stress situations in my life being resolved, like personal stress going down, all of these things that have changed, but my allergies have gone way, 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 way down from.
But there were factors in your life. There were people in your life that had that alert about them,
completely.
And you needed to be alert all the time.
Absolutely.
Because they would either be here or almost arrive and be here. So you had to be alert, and that alertness is allergy. That is an overreaction to a normal situation. So and what I was trying to say before is that what is in one aspect is in all aspects. That if you're allergic and have that overreaction to normal things, that is basically your personality. That you do have a tendency to overreact on everything because it's in one aspect in all aspects.
And also worthy to keep note of that none of this points to a particular you who is a certain way, who has a personality that is just built this way, or that there's, what we're really talking about
and
is
no
this
fault. There's no fault anywhere.
No, it's just an impersonal pattern of causes and conditioning and behaviors that are being elicited because of other events and environmental factors. And so there's no doing in any of this. There's no guilt or shame for you in any of this. There's no one in there who is inherently a fearful, shameful, anxiety-prone creature.
No.
It's just a biological organism that shows certain symptoms of being what we call colloquially anxious or neurotic, or
and no matter what it is, everything needs to be met with compassion and kindness, because it originated in non-compassion and non-kindness. So it is the way, the solution to all problems is to love it. Not to love it away, but to absolutely love it for being there.
It was there for
absolutely
a purpose. There was
purpose,
some reason that it appeared.
Yeah.
It might seem, in retrospect, maladaptive in some way. You might rather that it was otherwise, but it's just to recognize that it did serve a very real purpose. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to see. Kate wrote, okay. I'd be curious to know if you recommend practices like TRE for people who have dysregulated nervous systems as a complementary way to deal with this kind of toxic starting point. I'm a provider.
Yeah.
As a bottom-up approach instead of as a complement to working with thoughts to create safety in the body, which then calms down the hyper-alertness in the mind and emotions, as well as the inflammatory response in the body. Doesn't need to take 20 to 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. For some people, TRE is really, really good. Really good in feeling into and having the muscles react and just allowing, to experience and express whatever is coming up. For other people, TRE is the most stressful thing they can do. My nervous system can't deal with TRE. And that's why we have the 12 exercises that we're using in the embodiment and the embodiment awakening, because all of that is more like shaking and pumping, and it's much more organic exercises that you do, where it's all of it is also in axis. A lot of exercises you can get are out of axis. The way that we work with it is that it needs to be as normal and natural to the normal and natural movements of the body that is supporting boundaries in the body. If you're out of axis, you're out of boundary. So the 12 exercises that we do in the embodiment and awakening is much more with pumping and shaking and soft movement than that forceful vibration. For other people, it's super helpful with the eye circulations. That is really helping for the body to experience and express what is happening in the body.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So whichever of the physical embodiment methodologies tend to resonate with you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kate said, TRE